Hello, I'm Adam. I wanted to create an introductory video for you to get to know me a bit, because I think that it's really important when you take on a coach, as I did quite a few years ago, to make sure that you have a connection with them and a vibe and stuff, and you know them a little bit. So that's what this video is about. It's always difficult to answer the question of like, who am I? That big question. But I thought I'd start with saying I live in Tottenham. I've lived in London for about 25 years. I came down for uni, where I studied engineering product design. And for the majority of my life, I've been a problem solver. That's what I identified with. It's like, if there was a problem, I'd fix it and we're good. But my emotions is not something that you could fix in that way, in my usual way. It wasn't a logic-based problem. It was more of a body problem. But now the thing that enabled me to move through my anxiety and rebel through it as such is learning to slow down and take on a completely different way of being, which I am now, I think, in comparison to how I was in my 20s and early 30s. I've always been a bit rebellious. As a kid, I would keep that under wraps. It was probably behind closed doors, but because I wasn't very confident, I just desperately wanted to fit in as a kid. Whereas now, it's not that I want to fit out as such or be the person that stands out completely, but I'm very comfortable in my own skin, and I love being slightly flamboyant with my clothing. It's not particularly today, but I love being on stage in that sense. Love karaoke, love singing, have a penchant for rock music, which is something that I definitely love rocking out in that sense, and dancing. I've always loved dancing, but I didn't used to be particularly confident at it, or I was always in my own head as such. But I now do a practice called ecstatic dance, which is most weekends, and that's a very big part of my life. As is, I go to the cinema a lot. It's something I just love getting caught up in other person's imagination. And I love having conversations that make you go, wait, what? What are you on about? So I've got a bit of a dark sense of humour, I suppose. But the bit of having conversations about physics or the origins of the universe or something that's going on in society, which kind of creates a little bit of an uncomfortable feeling in myself. It's like I feel I want to know rather that feeling is a feeling of growth, and that's central to my life at this point in time. So. I think that's about it. I used to live on a boat. I lived on a boat for about 5 years, and that was on the Regent's Canal in London, and that was a wicked way of living. So I think to summarise, I've lived and breathed an experimental way of life. Some of that I've known in hindsight, but I really took that practice on in 2019 because I had a really, really bad anxiety attack where I lost 7 kilos of weight, didn't sleep for about 3 weeks, and even turned this weird shade of grey. And I would arguably say that was the worst moment of my life. But now I would say that it's the catalyst for the best thing that happened in my life, which is something that I've completely changed my way of being because of that incident. And it's that pushed me onto an experimental journey and reading so much about all like Taoism, Buddhism, Zen practices, and the psychology of integral coaching. It's obviously what I do now. That's at the heart of personal freedom coaching. And to summarise, what the central thing to my life is this word, is vulnerability. And it's learning to rebel through your vulnerability, because I know that is it's like the catalyst for evolution, and it's something that we've learned or we've labelled as a bad thing, when actually it's neither of those, neither good or bad, but it's certainly a direction to follow in that context. So, and that's what I enable people with, and that's what the bit that's essential to my life is learning to be able to respond to situations as opposed to react to them. And so now I feel that I respond to life as opposed to react to it, and that gives me a huge sense of well-being and confidence in who I am. And where I am and the direction that I'm going. In all honesty, I have no idea what life has in store for me anymore, but I love the fact that I don't. Like, the future is unwritten, and I know I've got some directions that I'm really, really passionate about, and I'm very purposefully driven, and it's an absolute honour to be able to help people and reflecting them a bit where I was and where I'm moving to, and help them, with my experience. I've got about 10 years or so experience on this journey of personal transformation to get freedom. And as I said, certainly in the last 5 years, it's massively ramped up. But yeah, fascination, philosophy started all that. And now, I've set up a business called Polite Club. And the first rule of Polite Club is that you do talk about it. So this is learning to talk about what's going on for you was an absolute game changer for me, and it was that spiraled into everything that I do now. So that's about it, really. If there's anything that I've said that's resonated, please do set up a discovery call, because I'd love to meet you, love to get to know you, and in that session we can answer any questions you may have. And my final piece in closing would be, if you've had an instinctual thing in your body's gone a little bit like yes to anything that I've said, and then your mind's gone, oh no, maybe not, I can't do that because of X, Y, and Z, please follow that urge, because that's your instincts talking to you. And when the coaching that I do will help you to be able to kind of amplify that feeling and that understanding, and to be able to be guided by that as opposed to your head. So to learn to live from your heart instead of from your head. So I used to be a very head-based creature, logic-driven. I did engineering product design at university, and I was a problem solver for years, and I still am a problem solver, but I let a lot of problems just look after themselves, because they will. And learning to be able to let go of control and be in control at the same time is an absolutely game-changing skill. So if you want to be able to learn how to do that, please do get in touch. Okay, speak to you soon. Cheers.